My name is Michael Carlo. I'm a PhD student at Clemson University, where I work in the lab of Dr. Michael Sears, working in an area of research called thermal ecology. Thermal ecology is basically looking at how different organisms respond to changing temperatures in the environment and how that may affect their biology. Now, most of the work we do falls under the realm of climate change, so that we are looking at not only enhancing the understanding of how animals respond to rapid climate change, but also trying to ultimately use the biological research that we do to improve predictions of how animals may do under climate change, and then better inform policy making and decision making in the near future. Now, the organism that I work with is the eastern fence lizard. This is a lizard that is pretty widespread in North America. You can find it up and down the East Coast, from about central Florida to the southern edge of New York into northern Pennsylvania, and out towards the Midwest, and then some closely related species that go all the way to the West Coast and down into northern Mexico. Now this here, if I can get him out of the bag, is a male fence lizard. The males are like a medium-sized lizard. They're usually pretty brown with this stripe pattern on their back, and during the breeding season, the way you can really tell the males out in the wild is this brilliant blue coloring on their belly and on their throats. Now, you might have noticed a yellow dot at the base of his tail. That's not naturally occurring. That is a paint mark that I use to mark them when I'm doing surveys out here in nature. Right now I'm working in the Sumter National Forest in South Carolina. So this male, I've already done all the measuring and the surveying I need to do for him, so I'm going to let him go. And then I also have here a female that I can show you. This is actually a juvenile female, so she's a lot smaller, though the adult females tend to be a lot bigger than the males. She is pretty tiny. She's about 1.5 grams and about 3.5 centimeters long from the tip of her snout to the base of her tail. Now she does look pretty tiny, but in South Carolina the lizards tend to grow pretty quickly. She is less than a year old. She probably hatched in late summer last year. By the end of this summer, she can nearly double her body length and increase her mass by about 5 times her current body mass by the end of the summer. So she will be big enough, likely by the end of the summer, to mate and then go lay her own eggs. So I'm going to go ahead and let her go, so I'm done with her. I also have an example of what I'm doing out here and the project that I want to fund through experiment.com. What I have in this bag, if I can get it open again, is an adult female who I caught yesterday. She as you can see is much bigger. She is a little bit bigger than that male that I showed you, and she has a radio transmitter attached to her back, as you can see there, that I'm going to use to track her for several weeks so that I can see how she behaves in her normal environment, what she does on a day-to-day basis. But then I want to look at her nesting behavior. What I want to do is look at how fence lizards choose where do they lay her nests. Under current conditions, as we are out here, fence lizards tend to lay their nests in pretty open areas. They'll travel through the environment, past their home ranges, and nest in what seems to be the warmest, most open parts of the environment. And they lay these shallow nests just a few centimeters below the soil surface. However, under climate warming, the temperatures in those nests is going to increase to the point where they could become lethal to embryos. So what I want to know is, are these fence lizards going to those spots because they're searching through their environment and finding that those are the best ones? Or is there something else that's determining why they nest there? Such as a phenomenon called philopatry, which is the tendency to return to where you were hatched to lay your eggs. Sea turtles are probably the most famous example. They travel long distances to return to their natal beaches to then go lay their eggs. And so I have several more females that I'm going to be tracking for the next 2 months, so I can determine how and if they choose where to lay their nest sites, or if there's something limiting them to always nesting in these locations. And based on that answer, I'll be able to tell what kinds of implications climate warming has for this species. And then ultimately, I want to be able to use that information along with some other studies that I'm doing on how temperature actually does affect embryos as they're developing the nest to develop more accurate predictions of how this species and other similar species are going to do under climate warming. So stay tuned. That was just a brief introduction. I'm going to post some videos later introducing you to the undergraduate who's going to be working for me this summer. The funding from experiment.com is going to go to pay for him to come out here and stay with me for 2 months over the summer to work so that he can live out here and feed himself. And then I'm also going to post some videos on how exactly we track these females and how we catch them, and some other interesting facts about these lizards and some of the other species that live out here in the National Forest. Thank you.